Tonight, grieving the death of a crossing guard, Ottawa's fatal hit-and-run investigation triggers a flood of condolences from across the country. Quebec's secularism bill under heavy scrutiny as the Supreme Court hearings continue. Plus, Sens win. Scores! An energized push for a playoff position pays off. Good evening. The story of Peter Clark is reaching far beyond the borders of the nation's capital tonight. The friendly crossing guard's life being remembered at the provincial legislature today in Toronto. And tonight, the Prime Minister issued a statement calling the fatal hit-and-run a terrible tragedy. 55-year-old Peter Clark is being remembered by many as a familiar face who helped children in the neighborhood get to school safely. Police arresting a 19-year-old driver in connection to the case. CTV's Caitlin Wilson has more.
A growing memorial in a community searching for answers.
When I heard of not only the accident, but this morning when the guard died, I just had to come by and pay my respects.
It was at this intersection. 55-year-old crossing guard Peter Clark was killed in a hit-and-run Monday morning. And for Clint Coots, it hits close to home.
I was a crossing guard for about 3 years. It really touched me deeply.
Police canvassing this Barrhaven neighborhood Tuesday, going door to door, searching for the driver who fled the scene, later arresting a 19-year-old man in connection with the investigation. The incident happened just down the street from Mary Honeywell Elementary School, and residents in the area say traffic has long been a concern.
I've had sort of personal experiences of people driving like well over the speed limit and blowing through stop signs just further up the road. So hearing about what happened yesterday was tragic.
And I spoke with several residents and parents who did not want to appear on camera. They say Peter Clark was a familiar face, smiling each day as they walked by. One woman who saw the aftermath says she drives her grandchildren as a precaution, even though they're within walking distance.
I've heard a lot of concern about speed in this area, but I can assure you, once we get the investigation from this incident, we will look at this in detail to see if there are any safety recommendations that we can implement to make this area safer, and we will do that.
In a statement, the Ottawa Safety Council says it's deeply saddened by the tragic loss, adding it's focused on supporting staff impacted by the tragedy, including arranging grief counseling resources and continuing to cooperate with police. And as tributes continue to grow, the loss being felt beyond Barrhaven.
I've just learned that he's passed as a result of his injuries, and so we can have a moment of silence for his family.
With a moment of silence at Queen's Park. Caitlin Wilson, CTV News.
And if you're passing by Ottawa City Hall in the near future, flags there are flying at half-mast in Peter Clark's honor. The city says flags will remain lowered at all City of Ottawa sites until sunset on the day of the memorial service, the date of which has yet to be announced. Many say this situation only further illuminates the need to keep the streets near schools extra safe. For Barrhaven in particular, this would be the second incident involving a vehicle just a few weeks apart. Parents are calling for immediate safety improvements around St. Juan Diego Catholic School after a child was struck by a vehicle and seriously injured during after-school pickup. CTV's Leah LaRocque has more from Barrhaven's Half Moon Bay community.
The line of cars starts to form nearly an hour before dismissal, parents trying to get a spot outside of St. Juan Catholic School.
Otherwise, it's a madhouse around here.
And this is why, once school is out, Flagstaff Drive becomes a chaotic grid of cars, parents, and students.
These kids don't stand a chance against all of this traffic.
Cassandra Petrella is advocating for better safety measures.
Crossing areas, safe crossing with cross guards, those do not exist at all right now.
On March 12th, a child was seriously hurt during pickup, struck by a car and rushed to CHIO. This temporary stop sign was installed.
Essentially said, look, we had a child got hit here earlier because we needed a protected place for someone to cross. Can we do it at this intersection? And we've been able to make that work.
But driver after driver after driver blows through the stop. and some clearly faster than the 40-kilometer-an-hour speed limit. Apart from speeding, lack of stop signs, and nowhere to park, parents say another main safety concern on this street is that there is no crosswalk, so nowhere for kids to safely go from that side of the street to this one. Students zigzagging between cars that are often double parked.
It feels like you have to have all the luck you have in order to not get hit.
There is no parking at any time on this side of the street.
So we're giving you guys a ticket because you're pulled over and a no stop.
Bylaw officers come on site, ticketing parents.
I understand that you can't pick up in a no stop zone.
It's important for the school to make provision for parents to be able to pick up safely.
Petrella has started a petition and is doing what she can to protect young lives.
Do you feel safe here at school when you cross the street?
Kind of.
We really need the city to listen. We need the school board to listen and really understand what is happening here.
Leah LaRocque, CTV News.
Our digital team has extended coverage of these stories on our website, ctvnewsottawa.ca. Now for a first check on weather, here's Jackie Perez.
We're anticipating mainly cloudy skies for the midnight into tomorrow morning. The clouds will continue when you head out the door, but no chance of precipitation yet. That's when we get into later in the evening, where we could likely see a transition from snow into rain. We're keeping a close eye on this, of course, so we can see that temperature-wise, -2 around midnight, -6 to kick things off. A lot warmer than what we saw the last couple of days. We're getting to a daytime high of 2 degrees, but again, it is by the late afternoon, early evening that we could see a chance of some showers that transition into some snowfall. We'll get a closer look at your forecast and our long-term forecast in just a bit.
Thank you, Jackie. Turning now to a case involving the Quebec government that has made its way to the Supreme Court of Canada. The focal point is Bill 21, also known as the secularism bill, preventing some workers from wearing religious symbols. As CTV's Kelly Gregg reports, those in favor had the floor today.
Lawyers for the provincial government didn't waste any time addressing one of the most controversial legal questions within minutes. Section 33 is clear, says Isabelle Brunet. It's a clear mechanism, and there's nothing that allows for a change in interpretation of it. Quebec's Attorney General's office says the province has the power to preemptively use the notwithstanding clause, even if it is controversial. The fact that Section 33 might be criticized, well, that was already the case in 1981. What the appellants are seeking is a way of sidestepping 33 as if it didn't exist. But there is a legal conundrum here. This case is in part a constitutional challenge. So can the Supreme Court rule on Bill 21 if the bill is shielded from the very law it's being challenged on? What about the independence of the courts and the declaratory powers of judges? And a conclusion when it comes to the validity of 33. Is there any way of reconciling these different ideas? Quebec's lawyers arguing the fate of Bill 21 should be up to voters. The Chief Justice saying, let's just imagine there's a tyrant with no respect for gender equality and who might want to enact laws that violate the basic rights of Canadians in general. What would you say to that? Brunet responding, I would say that the guardians of the constitutions are not just the courts, but also the elected officials and the electorate. Lawyers representing groups in favor of Bill 21 presented today, saying it's the result of a decades-long debate in Quebec into reasonable accommodation and is based on the 2008 Bouchard-Taylor report. Lawyers for Pour les droits des femmes Québec arguing wearing certain items like a niqab isn't a sign of gender equality. Religious symbols that demand submission or modesty from women don't promote equality, she says. It's religion that discriminates against women, not Bill 21. Wednesday's hearings kick off with lawyers for the Attorney General of Canada. Arguments wrap up on Thursday, but a decision in a case so complex is expected to take months. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
Some disturbing evidence heard in an Ottawa courtroom today in the trial of an Ottawa couple accused of killing a 7-week-old baby boy in the year 2021. A forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsy on Colton Booth took the stand. Dr. Christopher Milroy testified the baby died of a head injury from blunt trauma and also had bruising on his chest and fractures to his legs. The baby's mother, Barrhaven Booth, and her former boyfriend, Patrick O'Connor, have pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. Court has heard the pair told police officers the baby fell off the bed. Milroy testified that a short fall from the bed to the floor would not account for the injuries on the baby. Ottawa police will be deploying more officers in the Barrhaven Market and the downtown core this spring. They say it's an effort to address safety concerns from businesses, residents, and tourists. Police Chief Eric Stubbs outlined the new downtown safety plan this morning at the Mayor's Breakfast event. Chief Stubbs says more officers with boosted visibility will be deployed to busy downtown areas, including the Barrhaven Market, Centertown, and Chinatown. But some residents say more policing is merely a stopgap solution and does not address the needs of the city's vulnerable population.
Very visible, and they'll be focused, and they'll know exactly where to go in terms of those hotspot areas, as well as targeting those people that are causing the community the most harm.
It makes you feel safe seeing, even if there's nothing to worry about.
We need more intervention. More boots on the ground is not going to do anything but stop the problem that's already happening. Right now we need to get to the root of the problem and stop it from occurring before it happens.
Members from various platoons like the traffic and tactical units will also dedicate some of their shift to downtown patrols. The new plan starts May 1st. Riverside South residents got a first glimpse of a new community center and library that will be built to serve this growing section of Ottawa. People living in the area say city staff have had a hard time keeping up with demand. Until they get a new library of their own, they have to go to the Manotick Library for services or visit a weekly bookmobile. Right now, the new community center and library are in the early design phase. The 11-hectare site near Earl Armstrong Road will also include a playground, sports fields, and several courts for tennis, basketball, and pickleball.
You know, the project's not only important for the residents of Riverside South, but it's also going to be one of the anchors of the town centre. It's located steps away from the new line bank station, and will really be part of building a transit-oriented community around the new line bank station.
I've been in this area for over 15 years now, and I think this facility is really long overdue. My son actually plays water polo, and I'm so interested to see actually the second phase of it when they're going to build a new pool.
Officials say they should be breaking ground late in 2027. The project is expected to be completed by the year 2030. A big night for the Ottawa Senators while on the road in Detroit.
Forward battle, Zub keeps it in, far end pass. It's Yakimchuk, walks in, scores! Carter!
The Red Wings were grounded by the Sens as Ottawa's team soared towards victory. This high-stakes game meant Ottawa needed the win to climb into a playoff position, and Captain Brady Tkachuk says it felt like a playoff game with what was at stake. At the end, the Sens would rise to the occasion, victorious with a final score of 3-2. The team is back on home ice Thursday to face Philadelphia at the Canadian Tire Centre.
We see this as an absolute layup in terms of policy decisions.
Coming up, how gas prices are playing into a new argument in favor of keeping federal workers at home or working remotely. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass Sky Cam. The temperature right now is -1. Now to Jackie for a closer look at the forecast.
Well, pretty decent conditions for our overnight. We're going down to about -7. Yes, there is a slight chance that we could see some flurries, but this isn't likely until actually tomorrow evening. We've got southerly winds moving in. That will warm us up to about 2 degrees. So we did mention the chance of flurries, perhaps rain, and this is going to be later in the evening, closer to just after 7 o'clock, and then it will transition closer to midnight into some rainfall. Now, tonight's lows across eastern Ontario hovering around -5, -6 along the Seaway, about -9, -10 along the valley for Pembroke and Petawawa, but we've got mainly clear skies, a little bit of cloud cover. Yes, we do see that there is a slight chance that we could see some flurries for tomorrow and some rainfall, and this is a look at our highs for tomorrow. 5 degrees along the Seaway, including Kingston and Brockville, still hovering around 2-3 degrees, but in Cornwall, Gatineau, and Ottawa as well. So we're not quite getting past the 3-4 degree mark. We talked about the precipitation that is moving in. This is what it looks like moving through into Thursday morning. So again, the rain, the snow, it's going to move very quickly into the overnight. So by Thursday morning, it will likely be clear. It is going to be, though, after 5 p.m. Thursday that we could maybe see some rain moving in. When all is said and done, 5 to 10 millimeters of rain anticipated for Thursday, and 10 degrees is the anticipated daytime high.
A new call tonight from one of Canada's major public sector unions to allow federal public servants to work from home. This comes as the International Energy Agency asks for drivers to ease off the gas pedal to reduce global oil demand. Even though prices are expected to take a big dip overnight, they could go back up on Thursday. And as CTV's Austin Lee reports, the volatility of the prices and the call to reduce global demand has the union using it to back their push for a hybrid work model.
The price of gas weighs heavily on many workers, like Anjou Delplanque.
We have to make concessions on what we are going to put our budget on, so gas prices is really hard for us.
She's a consultant with Andrew Fleck Children's Services, and for her, the surging cost of fuel is a bitter pill.
As a consultant, I am on the road every day, so it has a big impact on my income. A lot of at least $200 a week goes to gas.
And with full parking lots outside federal government buildings, the Canadian Association of Professional Employees is calling for the government to allow public servants to work from home, with sticker shock at the pump impacting everyone who drives to work.
It's just yet another reason to reverse these mandatory return to office orders that nobody even bothers to justify anymore.
The union citing a new report from the International Energy Agency highlighting remote work as a key action to reduce global oil demand amid the war.
We see this as an absolute layup in terms of policy decisions. And now we're getting just, backed up by, unexpected allies like the International Energy Agency.
Some public servants, however, say they prefer coming into the office.
When I take my laptop, at the end of the day, I'm not reconnecting again. When I'm working from home, I have a hard time to disconnect.
Former government workers also reacting to the union's call.
What about the private sector? I've worked in both government and the private sector. I don't think we should get special treatment just because we're a public servant.
I think there are some exceptions, but as a general rule, if you can't afford the gas, maybe you shouldn't get a car.
But for those like Delplanque who can't work from home, having the option of remote work makes sense.
If people are able to stay home and do their work from home, I'm all for that.
Austin Lee, CTV News.
I'm on my own when it comes to college. I'm not getting any support from my family.
Still to come, OSAP protests taking over the lawn at Queen's Park. More on that right after this. Students and union members are calling on the province to reverse the funding cuts, which they say will prevent students from attending college or university. CTV's Siobhan Morris was at today's OSAP protest taking over the lawn at Queen's Park.
Outside the legislature, students from across Ontario make noise about a shift in OSAP. It means they'll have to lean harder on loans they have to pay back.
These funds will really help me, get on my feet, especially afterwards. I plan on going to law school, so that's going to draw me in even more debt.
Brenna's rethinking her plan to study early childhood education this fall.
I don't come from generational wealth. I'm on my own when it comes to college. I'm not getting any support from my family. I also don't have a job right now. I've been looking for months.
Dahlia's already tapping into OSAP grants on a path she hopes will lead to a career in gynecology.
I'm possibly looking at completely throwing away a dream I've had since I was 4.
Inside the legislature, the leader of the opposition says students feel like they're slipping through the cracks.
They're just asking for a chance, a fair chance to finish what they started or start at all.
The minister insists there is help available.
There's many different opportunities for bursaries and grants. Our universities give $1.8 billion of bursaries and grants every single year, as well as our student access guarantee.
To the Liberals, that sounds like
you need to go more into debt. We're going to make it harder for you. We're piling on the debt. The minister doesn't get it.
The minister says the shift away from grants is necessary because the current model is not sustainable.
You know what's not sustainable? Spending $100 billion on a stupid tunnel under the 401 or billions of dollars to build a fantasy island for a convention center.
Students aren't thrilled with the idea of more loans, whether they're through OSAP or a bank.
Loans are always really difficult because you have to pay them back, and that's even more money that's being drained from your wallet.
Worried about getting a job to fill in a financial hole after graduation.
This provincial government has been doing
bugger all to help people when they come out of university get jobs, and now they're attacking people trying to get into university and college.
The government has called any debt an investment in the future. It's also pumping over $6 billion more into post-secondary education over the next 4 years.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Here in Ottawa, students and staff continue to push back against upcoming changes at the adult high school near Little Italy. The board will be moving students over the age of 21 to a continuing education model starting in September. But it's still not clear what that means for day-to-day learning, sparking uncertainty and concern.
Wanted to make something with bold flavors and a bold mission, and that was to, fight for second chances.
Just ahead, how one woman went from being behind bars to a business success story. Stay with us. An entrepreneur is sharing her incredible story with Ottawa's business leaders. Emily O'Brien made a serious mistake and went to prison, but from there she launched a wildly successful business. CTV's Camille Wilson tells us how.
Emily O'Brien admits she made a terrible mistake a decade ago.
I met someone who was allegedly sober, brought me on this trip. I'd known him for like 8 or 9 months. 3 days into the trip, I find out that it's a drug operation, that he owes money to some people, and they have my passport information because he booked the trip.
Caught up in a drug smuggling scheme for smuggling 2 kilograms of cocaine into Canada.
It started in the most unlikely and unfortunate of places, and that was federal prison. In 2015, I was arrested at Pearson International Airport.
Popcorn being a popular prison snack, O'Brien says her and some other inmates decided to put their own little twist on it. And that's where her popcorn comeback snacks was created.
We'd make popcorn, like people would make birthday cakes and stuff, just trying to make it seem a little bit not like prejudice. It became kind of like a family in there just to get us through this tough time. And so we'd also make popcorn, and we'd put different recipes on different spices.
The business is a success. Now she's sharing her story with business leaders at Invest Ottawa and how she turned this mistake into a business where she sells snacks in more than 1,200 stores in Canada and will soon have a deal in the U.S.
Emily's story is phenomenal, and just the whole theme of International Women's Month, or Women's Day, is give to gain, accelerate and grow and thrive. And so Emily's story is all about that. It's about her resilience, her passion, her desire, her drive, and then through that she actually gives back to the people in her community as well.
She's also hired people who were incarcerated, turning her success into an opportunity for others to have a second chance.
This work has brought me all over Canada, and I've done podcasts and interviews all over the world. Like, no matter what you go through, no matter what failures you have or what mistakes you make, you can come back from them.
Camille Wilson, CTV News.
When we return, hundreds gathering in Little Italy tonight, getting a taste of what the Ottawa hotspot has to offer. Here's a live look through our Centennial Glass sky cam. The temperature holding steady at -1 currently. And over to Jackie for a final check on the weather.
Well, mainly cloudy skies to start tomorrow off. We will see a little bit of the more sunshine, but it is going to start off about -6, feeling more like -10. We are warming up to 2 degrees. It isn't until Thursday we will get our warmest day of the week at 10 degrees. However, we are anticipating some rain moving in. Friday, while we will get sunshine, temperatures are going to dip back down to -3, and that will be the daytime high. It's not until we get to the start of early next week that we perhaps are going to see about seasonal conditions, where temperatures for Monday, anticipated high is going to be 9 degrees.
Thank you, Jackie. Finally for us tonight, the 3rd annual Taste of Little Italy packed the Preston Event Centre to capacity.
Our small businesses are the backbone of our community, and they all put so much work into what they do here on Preston Street. So to come out and support them and celebrate that, I think it's really important to do that sort of now more than ever.
Organizers say it's a chance to sip and sample and mingle with fellow foodies. 22 Little Italy eateries participated in the event, offering up some of their best creations. Nice little nighttime snack. That is CTV News for this Tuesday, March 25th. CTV News continues online anytime with our digital team keeping you up to date at CTV News Ottawa You can also watch our newscast live on the CTV News app anytime. And for news on the go, listen to News Talk Radio 580 CFRA. It's now the 25th, now that we're after midnight. For all of us here at CTV News, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night and stay safe.